my love to you I extend. O Lady of Paradise, at your doorsteps I have occupied a seat. For the sake of your Hassan, do not reject me. I am a servant who wishes to be chosen by you. Pick me, even though I am not worthy, for your mercy falls far behind the youth of my head.
O Fatima,
You are the gentle breeze of dawn, and I, a lone cloud in the sky, ready to be touched by you.
O Sadiq,
You are the beginning to the generation of the righteous.
O Rad, O Radi,
From your lap 12 moons shall brighten the world.
O Rayhana,
By your beauty the sun is humble.
O Batul,
The messengers of God seek entry to your home.
O Maria,
The corners of your house are the place of gathering for the angels.
O Zahira,
You are Khadija's reflection, a heavenly bouquet of light you surely are.
O Tahira,
Gauthar holds your name, and the prophets love you bear.
O Zakiya,
You are for Muhammad the fruit and the years of hardship. An answer to his forenoon prayers, you are applied to Surah Al-Duha. May I be your ransom, grace me by a glance. From the highest peak of paradise, look at my heart, which bears your most beautiful title.
O Fatima,
Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Yeah.
okay.
Inshallah, to continue the program. First of all, congratulations to everyone for the birth of the Fatima al-Zahra, and also Ladies and Mother's Day, which is a very appropriate occasion for this time to be the Mother's Day. And inshallah, we'll continue the program with the speech by Maulana Mujtaba, Sheikh Mujtaba. Please recite the last salawat for his health, his family's health, and sallallahu alaihi
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم قل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم ويحفظوا فروجهم ذلك أزكى لهم إن الله خبير بما يصنعون وقل للمؤمنات يغضضن من أبصارهن ويحفظن فروجهن ولا يبدين زينتهن إلا ما ظهر منها وليضربن بخمرهن على جيوبهن آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. Dear mu'mineen and mu'minat, brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, in love of Lady Fatima Zahra, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept us amongst the lovers of Fatima Zahra and her father and her husband and her children فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. We have quite a program tonight, a few items after this short talk inshallah, so I'll keep it short to the best of my ability, and you excuse me if I go beyond what I have intended. Now what I intended you don't know, but inshallah I'll keep it short to the best of my ability inshallah. The ayah that I began with from Surah An-Nur, which is one of the most beautiful, as most of the Quran is, but this surah is very, very much beautiful, especially when it comes to our chastity, modesty, and our relationship with one another in ways that go beyond our physical existence and our physical reality. It takes us, or this way of the Quranic way and the Islamic way and the godly way of interacting with one another would take us to another level altogether. This is why it is recommended that we teach our children this surah. There is a very beautiful hadith that emphasizes on teaching our children this surah, and I would say at least teach them the teachings of this surah rather than how to read it. Oftentimes the focus is how do we read the Quran, where it should be how do we understand and take lessons and implement the ayat of the Holy Quran. Imam Ali alayhi salam, in his will, in his wasiyah, when he reminded people of the Quran, he says Allah, Allah fil Quran. He did not say make sure that you recite the Quran. He says make sure nobody beat you to acting upon the teachings of the Holy Quran. لا يسبقنكم أحد بالعمل به or في العمل به. Make sure that you are the pioneers and the first who act upon the ayat of the Holy Quran. In fact, earlier tonight we had a discussion with some of the mu'mineen and mu'minat, and I reminded myself and everyone of a reality which is a sad reality, and that is the fact that other nations and other groups of faith in certain regards have certainly superseded and have beaten Muslims to acting or enacting upon the ayat of the Holy Quran or some of the teachings of the Holy Quran. Nonetheless, that's not our discussion in general. This is a general concept. Specifically tonight, I want to focus on the ayat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the revelation of the ayat of the Holy Quran, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, tell the believing men to do the following, يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. And I want to translate, but I'll explain further a little later, inshallah. So the believing men are told to lower their gaze, typically is the translation here. And also later on the ayah says, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ, tell the believing women also to يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنْ, to also lower their gaze. Now this is again the very basic translation of the ayah. It has also other teachings or other reminders. قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ, to protect their private parts, meaning from anything that's unlawful. And also when it comes to women, it adds, besides those two reminders, it adds another very important principle in protecting the society and elevating the status of the society to go above the physical bodies and the physical animals that we are, to be the humans that God has created us and honored us. And therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches men to do the two, women to do the 2 + 1. 2 meaning lower their gaze and to protect their private parts. For the ladies, they're also reminded not to display whatever is considered zina, whatever is considered beautification, whatever is considered a source of attraction. Okay, wearing it to look attractive, it becomes a problem. Okay, so this is a basic principle, and based on that, we have jurists assessing what is allowed and what is not allowed in terms of the dress code and so on, colors, or even some of the decorations that they put on clothes, or even on scarves, or anything for that matter. One has to assess it. Is it considered something that I'm wearing to make me look more beautiful, to be more attractive? Then it has to be basically hidden from anybody besides the list that the ayah provides. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides a list. I did not read that list for the length of it, and again for the mere fact that most people don't understand it. So we bless our gatherings with some ayat of the Holy Quran in the Arabic language, in the or the original source of the Quran. However, it's most significant to reflect on the meanings of the ayat of the Holy Quran. That is not necessarily, or not my discussion, though these are side notes and reminders, very significant. If we want to, this is very important, my dear brothers and sisters, if we want to elevate and go above our physical presence in this world and recognize our spiritual presence, recognize our ruh, because we are a combination of body and soul, al-jasad wa ruh. If we do not recognize either of them, we are being in fact oppressive. Imam Hassan alayhi salam, in a very famous Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says in a very famous hadith, which is often misunderstood, and I'll try and apply it, and it'll be clear what the Imam, inshallah, what the Imam intended based on our great scholars and other ayat and ahadith. He says, لَيْسَ مِنَّا, he is not from us one who neglects his akhirah for his dunya. And he is not from us one who neglects his dunya for akhirah. This is a very, very important concept, which is similar to when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the believers are those who say, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. They're not the ones who just want dunya and this doesn't matter whether it's hasana or sayyi'ah. The first group says, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. On the other hand, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا حَسَنَةً. Specific. I don't want anything in dunya. I want what is good in dunya, what is godly, what is halal, in other words, what is permissible and in fact enjoyable, because what is halal is what you can enjoy, and that enjoyment would be lasting, not something, a quick fix, temporary pleasure, and soon afterwards all the pain comes. No, what is halal is what is in fact the pleasure of which is eternal, is long living and eternal. Therefore the believers, they want both. Dunya hasana, akhirah hasana. They don't neglect their dunya for akhirah, neither do they neglect their akhirah for their dunya. They don't neglect this world for the hereafter, they don't neglect the hereafter for this world, because they go together. They are a reflection of one another. Because if you neglect your body, ultimately you won't be a healthy person, and therefore the mind would not be healthy. Therefore one cannot travel in the way that they should be traveling in the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That journey requires a body that is healthy, and therefore one has to pay attention to their physical health as well as their spiritual health. They go hand in hand. This is why the hadith says, al-mu'minu al-qawi khayrun min al-mu'min al-da'if. A believer who's strong is better than a believer who is weak. Therefore it is important for us to recognize that our body and our soul is a combination that makes us. What is most significant, obviously, is the long-lasting aspect of us, which is our ruh, not the body. Because as soon as this journey of hayat al-dunya is over, the ruh departs from the body, the ruh continues on, the body is gone. Yes? Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings back, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His mercy, He brings us back in terms of the ma'ad, which there is a physical aspect to resurrection, and how exactly it happens I won't get into that. It's another lengthy discussion. Is it the exact same body, same cells, or is it a different cell but same body? Regardless, there are so many theories on that. This is not our concern. Our concern, again, or tonight, the focus is that we are a combination of body and soul. In order to travel far in the journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we require both. And we need to be paying attention to both our body and soul's weakness and strength. We utilize our strength and recognize our weakness so that we don't go in the wrong path, both body and soul. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set some rules for us because He has honored us. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. He says we have honored the children of Adam. Therefore, He has set rules for us through the fact that He has honored us, or because of the fact that He has honored us. He set rules for us that would allow us to pay attention to both body and soul. If we do not pay attention to God's rules, to those divine rules set for us, what will happen is that we would either focus so much on the body and the pleasures of the body and the happiness or the momentary pleasures and happiness of the body, and we would forget that we have something beyond that, and we become like some who are so much focused on their pleasures that they have confused who they are even. To the point where today we have people who cannot even tell. Quran clearly says قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ and قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ, tell the believing man and tell the believing women. Quran is telling us, tell this group and tell this group. Yes, recognizing both groups. Now you have some that confuse this whole thing, that they don't even recognize the distinction between the two. Or they make it more of a state of the mind. You know, what you believe is what you are. Such a sad reality that we're living in today's world, which is based on the fact that they neglected their soul. Yes, when it comes to the soul, gender does not matter. This is very important for us to understand. They speak so much about equality. And equality is in fact what Islam is all about. What Quran is all about. What the Prophet of Islam, Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, is all about equality. In fact, he came at a time where the entire world was in darkness. They lived in such dark levels of darkness that they considered different races or even different genders at times would be considered other species, almost like animals that are there to serve our needs and pleasures. Unfortunately, this concept still exists today in some shape or form exists today, that other people, people of other color, people of other gender, people of perhaps other religions, for some religious groups, if you don't belong to that religious group, you're basically created to serve, that religious group. You're nothing but a tool, like animals that are there, farm animals that you use for your own needs. The same thing goes for all these people who don't belong to that group, for example. In such a society, the Prophet of Islam, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, came to say, it doesn't matter whether you were born in a family of slaves or born in a family of free people. It doesn't matter whether you were born in a family or as a race of black or white or any other color for that matter. It doesn't matter whether you were born as an Arab, because they considered Arabs as superior, especially because superiority in humanity is based on intellect. Inshallah, we understand that. It's intellect that matters. It is our knowledge and wisdom and understanding that matters, not our physical appearance and muscles. If you want to be strong in muscles, you'll find that you are weaker than many animals in this world. Yes, if you want to be taller, you'll find that you're shorter than many animals in this world. If you want to be louder, you'll find that Quran tells us, إِنَّ أَنْكَرَ الْأَصْوَاتِ لَصَوْتُ الْحَمِيرِ. You'll find that many animals have louder voices than you and I. Therefore, it's not by our physical abilities, it's our intellect that matters. At that time, because verbally, one of the means of displaying, in fact, intellectual ability is language. And Arabic being such an advanced language to the languages of the world at that time, and I would say today as well, you will not find any language as advanced and as sophisticated and elaborate as the Arabic language. Because they had that, they considered themselves to be superior to other nations, to other humans who existed on earth. And the Prophet came to say to them, no. It has nothing to do with language, with race, with which part of the world you're born to. And in fact, it has nothing, and this was shocking for them. This is the shock that in fact affected the world. It was not even about gender. Because they really considered, at that time, there was nobody in the world that could consider men and women to be equal. I am telling you a fact that you can go and research history and you'll find shocking stories. You'll find shocking realities. Nobody in the world could even imagine that men and women could be equal. At such a time, and believe it or not, go and research about Europe and about, in fact, the Western civilizations, and you'll find that they only recognized that women could inherit in the last couple of hundred years. And we're speaking about 1400 years ago. Women had equal rights, not similar, don't get it wrong, equal rights to men. In the eyes of God, obviously, and in the eyes of the Prophet of God, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In that, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. In that environment, he introduced all that. However, he said, there are rules. You need to follow these rules in order to allow human soul, the ruh of insan, to elevate, to get to the point where it recognizes that we have been honored by God, that God has recognized, has chosen us and has honored us. Therefore, I am not going to lower myself below the level of animals. If I only see my body, if I only recognize by my body, I am worse than animals. That's what Quran tells us, and that's what it is, in fact. We become worse than animals if we only recognize that we need to eat and go and fulfill our pleasures. يَأْكُلُونَ وَيَتَمَتَّعُونَ كَمَا تَأْكُلُ الْأَنْعَامُ. Where's their place? Hellfire. Hellfire meaning what? Their own regret. They burn in their own fire when they realize what they have done or how much have they missed out on. I could have been up there and I went through this life and I died and I'm nowhere near where I should have been. Therefore, this is the fire that they burn in. Why? Because they only focused on the body. Again, a believer is all-rounded. Doesn't focus on the soul to the point that neglects the body. When somebody decided that he wants to choose celibacy for himself and left his wife and children, left his family and went and started worshipping day and night, the news came to the Prophet of God, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. When he was told that this is what happened, he was angered by that man. He called, he said, bring him. He says, are you thinking, or do you think that you have now surpassed your prophet and now you're at a spiritual level that you are now, far beyond everybody else, or what's going on? He said, why? He says, your own messenger has his wife and he goes to his family. He eats and drinks and goes to his family within what is permissible. This is recognizing body and soul, that we are, when it comes to time, and this is where the believer divides their time, divides their life between their different responsibilities, including feeding their spiritual needs, having their spiritual food regularly, our daily prayers and supplications, our weekly prayers, Friday prayers, take a break from work, from life, and attend Friday prayers. Try as to the best of your ability. These are things that we need, our soul needs, our spirituality needs. And if we don't do that, we are incomplete. We need both of those to be complete. Now coming to the lady Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Through her I want to come to the term يغض من أبصارهم or يغضضن من أبصارهن. Men and women to lower their gaze as the translation goes, and I'll explain why the translation is limited and does not give the full meaning of the term or the full concept there. On the day of judgment, there's a hadith, and I will read it. If you share a salawat, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala In Bihar al-Anwar, It is narrated from Imam al-Askari alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says, he narrates from Rasulullah, his grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says, إن الله تعالى إذا بعث الخلائق من الأولين والآخرين. On the day of judgment, when God resurrects and calls upon all the people from the beginning of the times until the end of the times, of being basically people in this world, نادى منادي ربنا. A call comes from an angel that is in fact announcing, making announcements for on the day of judgment that God commands him. He says, Ya ma'shar al-khalaiq. So a voice that is heard by everybody. A voice that is heard on the day of judgment by everybody. Now how does it work? Is it loud enough that some who are nearby, they go deafened, and those who are far barely hear it? Obviously that's not how it works. And today's technology teaches us or tells us that we have technology way beyond that we could hear a voice even if we're scattered across the entire globe. Yes, we can hear a voice nowadays with today's technology. And we're not speaking of God's ability and God's technology, worldly technology of some men who got together and made this technology available through research and studying, not through playing games. A reminder for our youth, okay? If you have any technology, if I'm able to use this today, it's because there were people who studied and researched and did a lot of hard work. They did not sit and play games. So if you want to be part of advancing humanity, do not waste your life playing games. Back to the hadith, the voice is heard by everybody that says, Ya ma'shar al-khalaiq, all the creatures, all the people created by God. Khalaiq here referring to people who are created by God. غضوا أبصاركم. Lower your gaze. Why? The hadith says لتجوز فاطمة بنت محمد سيدة نساء العالمين على الصراط. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Everybody on the day of judgment is told to now look down. This is definitely nothing about the physical attraction. I want you to understand this. And that will bring us back to the meaning of يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنْ, beyond the physical attraction. On the day of judgment, there is a hadith, multiple ahadith, and a concept that in fact is agreed upon. Taklif, responsibility, religious responsibility, is in this world. Beyond this world, there is no religious responsibility. We know that. There's no doubt about that. No Muslim and no believer thinks that, okay, once you depart this world, you still have some sort of responsibilities, whether it be in terms of acts of worship, or in terms of financial responsibilities, or any other responsibility, or social responsibilities. All of that is in this world. What happens on the hereafter is a reflection based on how we live and what we recognize, and based on certain realities in the hereafter, in Barzakh and in Qiyamah. Certain realities surface to the mind and to the soul of the people, and therefore the world is a different world. It is not a world of looking at the opposite gender with lust and attraction. So what is it that the hadith is saying? What is it that the Prophet is telling us? That on the day of judgment, everybody would be told to look down. غُضُّوا أَبْصَارَكُمْ, because the daughter of the Prophet, Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha, is about to pass. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. I'll continue the hadith, and inshallah we'll come back to the reason. So it says, فتغض الخلائق كلهم أبصارهم فَتَجُوزُ فَاطِمَةَ عَلَى الصِّرَاطِ. Everybody lowers their gaze. Fatima passes. Nobody on the day of judgment is able to look except the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa Ali wal Hasan wal Hussein wa tahirin min awladihim. Not all of their children. This is not about who's mahram to Fatima and who's not mahram. Because it doesn't say that all of her children are then allowed. Because then you can go back and say all of her ancestors are all should be allowed because they're also mahram. Yes? Oftentimes people look at this hadith, many people narrate this hadith and look at it as in who's mahram and who's not mahram. And I'll be honest, that's what I thought growing up as a young boy. I thought I would love to be mahram to Sayyidah Fatima, so I have to marry a Sayyidah and become mahram. So on the day of judgment I can, and this is very common, by the way, very common amongst people that they think that this is how it works. If you are mahram to her, no, it is based on the purification. The hadith says only the Prophet and Imam Ali alayhi salam and Hassan and Hussein alayhim as-salam وَالطَّاهِرِينَ, only the purified ones amongst their children, من أولادهم فإنهم أولادها, they're surely her children. فإذا دخلت الجنة, when she enters paradise, it is what remains is something that is referred to as martuha. One of the things that you often see in some weddings, and perhaps some wedding dresses have that. Something that the dress has a cover that goes. It is long. I'm not sure what they refer to it. Not very familiar. Veil or something. That is the train. Trail. Okay. Okay, different names. Now you know what I'm referring to now. So whether it's a veil or a trail or a train, that is in fact a lot of the things that you have in fact in the Western society are adopted from the early Muslims who lived in part of Europe and in fact taught the people around them certain things. One of them was this what they put on the head, the veil during the weddings and so on, which is dying out, unfortunately. And also this long train, veil. And also, if you see in graduations, when somebody graduates, they have the gown and the attire that they wear. A lot of it came from early Muslims. Nonetheless, this is something that they wore to, in fact, hide the shape of the body completely and hide the feet completely. And so in the hadith we are told when Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha came to the masjid, in the famous sermon of Fadak, when she came out and spoke, obviously it's named Fadak because that was her excuse. But the reality is that it was the sermon of wilayah to determine who is the wali of the believers. Nonetheless, in the narration, we are told when she came out, one of the things that was mentioned in the narration in the hadith is that she was stepping on that which she was wearing. So it was long and she was stepping over it. In other words, because of modesty, she wanted to ensure nobody sees her feet. I don't know where we have gone and how far have we gone from Ahlul Bayt and from the dress code of Fatima, which is angelic, which is to take us to a next level. We're not looking at Fatima for physical beauty. You don't sit and study or learn about the history of Fatima salamullah alayha because she was this beautiful princess. Though she must have been, that's not our concern. This is not what we talk about. When we talk about her, we talk about her spiritual beauty, the beauty of her intellect, the beauty of her words. A lady who was in her early youth, basically an 18-year-old, if the narrations are accurate, maybe a few years more or perhaps more, not less. This was Fatima at that age speaking more eloquent than all of the men at that time. More eloquent, and she had more wisdom than all of the men at that time, besides her father and her husband Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. This is what we look at. However, she was wearing that which was long to cover her completely. Similarly, there is that on the day, that trail that is on the day of judgment when she enters, that is the only thing that is out. And the hadith continues from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now obviously that turns into something beyond the physical length. Okay, so it's not a physical trail that is limited. How long could it be? It is something different because the hadith says that it stays out. Martu Fatima salamullah alayha sayyidatu nisa al-alamin فلا يبقى محب لفاطمة إلا تعلق بهدبة من أهداب مرتها. All of her lovers, they hang into, all of those who love Fatima salamullah alayha, they hang into a part of that trail in order to be able to be saved on the Sirat and to enter paradise with the shafa'ah of Fatima. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Back to the hadith, and I will finish inshallah, I won't keep you much longer. Back to the hadith, the beginning of the hadith about غضوا أبصاركم, that the Prophet ﷺ says that God's announcer, munadi Rabbuna, somebody announces, an angel announces on the command of God, everybody غضوا أبصاركم. And we said it has nothing to do with this physical attraction and lust, because we're in a different world now. There is no taklif and none of that. In fact, on the day of judgment, how could all these people worried about where am I going to end up being and whether or not I'm going to make it over the Sirat? Who is concerned about looking at somebody and lusting over somebody? It is unfortunate that in this world, being absent-minded, not realizing that we are on that journey, we are busy looking left and right, forgetting that we are on a journey and we're going to stand on the mawqif of Qiyamah. However, on the day of judgment, no one is concerned about that. Therefore, this غضوا أبصاركم is referring to something different. It is referring to the honor, the status of Fatima, the honor of Fatima, the level that she has that nobody is allowed to even look. Nobody is even capable of looking. Nur Fatima salamullah alayha. The light of Fatima salamullah alayha. Such illumination that they're not capable unless they are of that caliber, of that level of purification. They are the Prophet, her husband Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, her children, and the purified ones amongst her children. So her purification, and this is why I say this world is in fact the preparation of the hereafter, which is nothing but the reflection of this world. They are parallel universes in a sense, and whatever you do, you see it there. Their purification in this world, their lowering their gaze in this world, their protection of their spirituality in this world, their elevation in this world, reflected in such level of height or light and illumination that none on the day of judgment is capable of seeing except the ones who reached there. That is a reality that we miss. We think it's about hijab, is about limiting women. We think hijab or lowering gaze for men and women, which is for both here, we think it's about just lust, not wanting to lust. Yes, this is an aspect of it, but it's beyond that. It is more about, and this is often what you hear from those who wear the hijab. There was a video that I watched not so long ago of a revert who decided to speak about her experience of hijab, and it was beautiful when she described and what she said about hijab. She said it's not just about, covering something that somebody could lust over. It's not just about that, because some people abuse that. They say, well, they should not look. If they don't want to lust, that's their problem. No. It is about telling people that I'm beyond the physical appearance that you see. I am the soul that I am. It's about telling people that look at my intellect, look at my humanity in me, don't look at my physical appearance. I'm not an animal for you to lust over. I often use certain animals, and again we're celebrating, and inshallah we're not a bit of laughter is okay. When you look at certain animals, if you have a cat in your yard or something, you will know what I'm referring to. They attract the opposite gender with certain actions. Yes? Some of these actions could be very embarrassing. You agree with me? Certain animals, they do a dance for the opposite gender. Yeah, you probably have seen certain birds that do a special dance. Certain animals, they sing for the opposite gender. Yeah, they make their voices so, they start playing with their voices, vocal cords if you want, and make, rhyming sounds and so, rhythmic sounds, beautiful sounds, and everybody, the opposite gender obviously goes crazy over it, but we appreciate it too. All of that on a physical level. As humans, do we do the same thing? Is that what we're intended to do or meant to do? Or is there something else? That is the honor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave humanity, and in order for us to recognize it, He has prescribed certain things. One of them is غُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِكُمْ, which reflects on the Day of Judgment to a light. I'll finish with this statement. It is not a hadith. It is a statement by one of our great, in fact, scholars and Gnostics. He says, lower your gaze and you will see miracles. Tara al-ajaib. He says you will see wonders. You're stuck in the world of physical things. Lower your gaze. And part of that, by the way, is about not lusting, not just over the opposite gender, but also houses, mansions, furniture, cars, gadgets, phones, all of these things included, because when you look, you see a lot of things and you get distracted. Lower your gaze and you will see wonders. My dear brothers and sisters, we are not the body only. Lower your gaze and you will get in touch with your soul and you will see wonders, inshallah, and we will be amongst the real lovers of Fatima salamullah alayha on the Day of Judgment, that we will hold into that veil or trail and enter paradise as their neighbors, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the opportunity to implement the ayat of the Holy Quran, practice them and put them into practice in our lives, especially the ayat of Surah An-Nur. We ask Him to make us amongst those who have their light on the Day of Judgment. Yas'a nuruhum bayna aydihim. We ask Him to make us amongst those who listen to what's said and follow what's best. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Are there any questions? We'll give a couple of minutes if anybody has any quick questions. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. Everybody can inshallah have their phones out, mobile phones, and inshallah will have the Kahoot game. if you want to join kahoot.it, and join with the code on the screen. I know we have a lot more people. It's just only 26, 27 right now. So let's just join.
Okay, if you have the app or if you go to kahoot.it on your web browser, you can type in this code and put it started. We'll give everyone 1 more minute to join if they want to, and we'll get started. Okay, inshallah, we're going to start, and I will leave it unlocked so that you can join if you need to, but inshallah, we'll start. First question. What is the best edible thing which is mentioned inside the Holy Quran? Honey, milk, biscuits, or watermelon? Okay, the correct answer is honey. Actually, honey. We've got Satoshi in the lead. What is the shortest surah in the Holy Quran? Falaq, Nas, Ikhlas, Oka. I think hopefully mostly everyone will understand.
Shortest surah in Quran.
Okay, the correct answer is Gauthar. We have Satoshi still in the lead, but we have a Islam warrior that can go fast. What is the most disliked thing by Allah?
What is the most disliked thing by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, though it is halal? It is halal, but it's disliked. Hajj, marriage, fasting, divorce. Hajj, marriage, fasting, divorce. But the correct answer is divorce. Oh wow, we have Satoshi still eating. Who's coming up? Fatima is coming up.
What is the biggest animal mentioned in the Quran? Fish, whale, elephant, anaconda. Okay, the correct answer is the whale. Oh, we have Sarita in the lead, and Satoshi was kicked off the leaderboard. 4, 7, 5, or 6? How many surahs start with Alhamdulillah? The correct answer is 5. We have Fatima A with 6 correct answers in a row. So she got every single answer correct. And I think the readers how many surahs start with the word inna? 5, 4, 6, or 3? How many surahs start with the word inna? 5, 4, 6, or 3? The correct answer is 4. Three players lost their answers. How many surahs are Makki, which means revealed in Makkah? So it's somewhere in the 80s, which means most of the surahs of the Quran were revealed in Makkah. How many surahs are revealed in Makkah? 88, 86, 87, or 85? The correct answer is 86. I think the crowd is pretty excited. Okay, Sayyid Hassan has the streak with 4 correct answers in a row, and Fatima A is still in the lead. How many surahs are Madini, which means revealed in Medina? 28, 26, 27, or 25? How many surahs are Madini, revealed in Medina? 28. The answer is 28. So if 86 of them were Fatima A is in the lead with 7,300. Which surah is called the heart of the Holy Quran? And this is getting confused with
Which surah is called the heart of the Holy Quran? Do you have any guesses? Inshallah, let's see how many win. Surah Yasin. Which surah is called Arusul Quran, the bride of Quran? Surah Fatiha, Surah Jinn, Surah Rahman, and Surah Yasin.
Which surah is called the bride of the Quran? Fatiha, Jinn, Rahman, or Yasin? The correct answer is Rahman. Fatima A is still in the Fatima? Which surah is considered as 1/3 of the Holy Quran? Okay, the answer is Al-Ikhlas. Okay, we have Fatima A still in the lead. Which surah was revealed twice? Ikhlas, Fatiha, Tawbah, or Ayatul Kursi? Which surah was revealed twice? Okay, the answer is Fatiha. Surah Al-Fatiha was revealed twice. Mujtaba. Who is Mujtaba? Okay, Mujtaba is in the lead. He went from second place, I think third place actually for first. In which of these surahs is the backbiter condemned? Surah Al-Munafiqun, Nuh, Zalzala, or Hamazah? In which of these surahs is the backbiter condemned? The answer is Surah Al-Hamazah. We have Murtaza still in the lead. Yeah, Fatima is catching up though. In which surah is the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeated in every verse? Ikhlas, Fatiha, Mujtaba, and Mumtahana. In which surah is the name of Allah repeated every verse? Okay, the correct answer is Surah Al-Mujadala. A lot of people thought it was Murtaza is still in the lead. Sayyid Fatima is getting very close. How many surahs start with the word Tabarakalladhi? 1, 3, 2, or 4? How many surahs start with the word Tabarakalladhi? The correct answer is 2. Okay, Murtaza is still in the lead. Which of these surahs is related to Imam Ali alayhi salam? Balad, Hamazah, Al-Riyad, or Tagabun? Which of these surahs is related to Imam Ali alayhi salam? Okay, the correct answer is Surah Al-Adiyat. Murtaza is still in the lead. They haven't been changed. Which surah is revealed respect at the end of the day? The correct answer is Surah Al-Insan. The Lord. Murtada is still in the lead, but Ya Fatima is catching very close. Which surah deals with the laws of marriage? Mujtaba, Mumtahana, Nisa, or Jala? Which surah deals with the laws of marriage? Someone accidentally put Jala instead of Jala. Incorrect. The answer is Nisa. Ya Fatima is in the lead. What is the best night that's mentioned in the Holy Quran? Qamar, Najm, Qadr, or Hijr? What is the best night that's mentioned in the Holy Quran? The correct answer is Qadr. Ya Fatima and Murtada are getting very, very close. Which chapter in the Quran describes the sacrifice of Lady Fatima? Hadith, Asr, Baqarah, Naba. Which chapter in the Quran describes the sacrifice of Lady Fatima? And remember, you get more points if you answer the question faster. That's one of the reasons that people are very close. The correct answer is Kafir. Fatima A jumped all the way to the top, but Murtada is very, very close. Very close. Last three questions. I think it's going to be very close. Why did Lady Fatima feed the poor, the orphan, and the captive as mentioned in Surah Al-Insan? 1. For the love of humanity. 2. For the love of God. Yellow because they love the fruit, or green, all of the above.
I think the questions are getting tricky now, so be careful in what you answer. Last two questions only, last 3 questions remaining. We have Murtada on the top. In which ayah did Lady Fatima represent the women amongst the believers? Last 2 questions. In which ayah did Lady Fatima represent the women amongst the believers?
The correct answer is Ayatul Mubahala. We have Murtada still in the lead with Ahmad Al-Imam. Which tree from the Quran grows in the house of Imam Ali and Lady Fatima according to the Ahadith? Tayyiba, Khaditha, Tuba, or Zakra? Which tree from the Quran grows in the house of Imam Ali and Lady Fatima according to the Ahadith? Murtada is in the lead, and there is one more Okay, we're gonna find out the winners. In third place, we have Fatima A. In second place, we have Ahmed Air. We have Murtala in first place. Congratulations to the winners. Congratulations to the winners and everyone who participated. Thank you.
I was not asked about the reward present, and I suggested that the person who wins, or the winner, should be the first to be served dinner and the bonfire, the new thing, not the marshmallows, the combination, chocolate and marshmallows or s'mores. So that's my suggestion. However, the questions were very tricky and very informative. Inshallah, I pray and I ask the organizers perhaps to try and give some insight into the answers so that everybody can learn a little more than just the answer. Some of the answers were amazing and have a lot that we can learn through them, inshallah. Thank you for participating. I'm not sure why everyone is still seated. There's nothing else. Okay, everyone's waiting for the Before the ziyarah, inshallah, we have food outside, we have bonfire outside. So after the ziyarah, inshallah, everybody go outside and there will be some food, inshallah. So we'll wrap up our program and go head outside, in the back.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. السلام عليك يا بنت نبي الله. السلام عليك يا بنت حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا بنت خليل الله. السلام عليك يا بنت صفي الله. السلام عليك يا بنت أمين الله. السلام عليك يا بنت خير خلق الله. السلام عليك يا بنت أفضل أنبياء الله ورسله وملائكته. السلام عليك يا بنت خير البرية. السلام عليك يا سيدة نساء العالمين من الأولين والآخرين. السلام عليك يا زوجة ولي الله وخير الخلق بعد رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أم الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. السلام عليك أيتها الصديقة الشهيدة. السلام عليك أيتها الرضية المرضية. السلام عليك أيتها الفاضلة الزكية. السلام عليك أيتها الحوراء الإنسية. السلام عليك أيتها التقية النقية. السلام عليك أيتها المحدثة العليمة. السلام عليك أيتها المطلوبة المغضوبة المغصوبة. السلام عليك أيتها المضطهدة المقهورة. السلام عليك يا فاطمة بنت رسول الله ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلى الله عليك وعلى روحك وبدنك. أشهد أنك مضيت على بينة من ربك وأن من سرك فقد سر رسول الله صلى صلى الله عليه وآله. ومن جفاك فقد جفا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. ومن آذاك فقد آذى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. ومن وصلك فقد وصل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. ومن قطعك فقد قطع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. لأنك بضعة من وروحه التي بين جنبيه. أشهد الله ورسله وملائكته أني راض عمن رضيت عنه، ساخط على من سخطت عليه، متبرئ ممن تبرأت منه، موال لمن واليت، معاد لمن عاديت، مبغض لمن أبغضت، محب لمن أحببت. وكفى بالله شهيدا وحسيبا وجازيا ومثيبا. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.
after the full bell, you can record the blessing. Be careful. Ali, you're gonna fall. No. Come down. Alicia, be careful.